Chat with him.
He's put in a lot of hours too.
Making sure.
Yeah.
Zach, doesn't seem like it was that long ago that you were on Hometown Cable, and a little more pleasant experience than what we're anticipating right now, what we're experiencing right now. I have my arm around here, Mr. Jack Dragoon, the supervisor of the town of Moores. Your job is running Dragoon's farm equipment. It's probably hectic enough right now, and you got to add the supervisor job on top of it.
Yeah, it's very hard. So when most of your employees are across the road between rescue and the firemen, but we're managing very little as right now. I fix farmers with generators, and right now you see we don't have any ourselves. We're using our welder to furnish our power, which is very limited. So that's the way it goes.
So farmers, that's one angle we haven't covered yet, and we certainly are going to before this is all over. There are some farmers that we've heard about and talked to that a couple days ago that had gone 4 milkings or 5 milkings and hadn't milked yet. Do you think that the farmers have pretty much been reached now? I know NYSEG was going around from farm to farm for a while.
We've been well, we had some farmers, we've been sending trucks all over to help some of them. We got 10, 12, 15 generators in, and it's been very costly getting this stuff. You guys send a couple drivers, and Oneonta, Albany, and some smaller ones to Tupper Lake. It's been hard, but they're getting there, but they're still getting calls, from Canada. And there's still lots more needed. I feel that they're getting there, but they're working together, is what's helping out quite a bit. So in a small community, you got to work together, and that's what we're trying to do.
Yes, and of course, it wasn't that long ago that the whole northern tier went through something similar. The only advantage this time is that if misery likes company, we've got a lot of company this time.
Right, but this what we have right now is lots worse than what the flood is.
Are you that phone gonna be answered by you? I saw your son Gary working in the dark over there, and
it just rings into here.
Okay, pause it. Last time we talked to you, you answered the phone, and we never got back to talk to you. That was at the open house.
Well, that does happen. We do have we just put in a complete new phone system, but as you can see, we had to go back to the old style, and we only have one phone. That's where it rings in here, and that's it at this time.
Well, you got one more phone than I have operating at the moment.
Well, you probably have to try the old one.
No, my line is laying in the middle of the road. Those of you who saw our tape on the flood know that one of the first people we talked to at the beginning of that tape was Jack Dragoon. We were down on the Monte residence. Right. So the flooding down there, and as the phone rang, we were talking about that flood of 96, and we were just in Champlain, and Joe Perot, the fire chief, said that was a piece of cake compared to this.
That's what I just told you there.
Yeah.
This here is no comparison from what, the farmers right now are hit again. Especially the one that does sugaring. I don't know if you've been out there yet to look, but they claim the bushes are ruined. And North Star Road, all the trees, you go around the homes and see what's happened. You hear about it or this and that, but I've been talking to some of the Army Corps that's up here from all over, and he claims one other place he's been to, and that's in a different country where they've seen something worse than what we have right here in our own town.
Well, you talk about maple trees being down, and we just had that disastrous fire to our good friend Leonard and Sheila drowned, and their maple sugaring is a big part of their income, and so they might have had a double whammy right here.
That's for sure. Very much, and these guys up here is all burned out besides.
Yeah. So there's a lot of suffering going on, and at this point on this Monday that we're doing this, the bad part, it's all bad, but one of the bad parts is the fact that it isn't over yet. We're still 2-3 weeks away, probably, or longer in some cases. There'll be some people on some back roads that a month from now might still be out of electricity.
I would say at least 2 weeks. Talking to some of them there a little while ago, and this is one of these things that they can't be all over, and it's so bad. Excuse me a minute.
Okay. All right, that's another phone call, and we're not going to keep Jack too much longer. You're on the phone there talking about generators, and another tragedy that's happening is that some people are dying by the carbon monoxide poisoning from all this.
That's right, boy. Don't leave them in your buildings and have them running. One person happened to call his daughter, and here she's got it in the cellar. And for God's sake, have it outside. Make sure they're hooked right. They're going around here trying to recheck them before more tragedies. There's some already happened in this North Country, and hoping to stop anymore. They've done a hang of a job across the road, and they've been trying to hit houses, marking them where people are. Right now, they're going around. I guess they might even break. If there's a generator running, they might even break your door down if they're not there to let them in. And there should be they're checking them to see if they're hooked up right, which is another thing that can happen. Because when they do get power, they don't want to make sure it doesn't.
The ones that are hooked to the line, yeah.
That's right. It can probably create bigger problems. But I can't emphasize enough the help here.
Well, anything else, Jack? We're going to head across the road, if not.
No, go there. That's where the workers are. And talk to Rudy, and he's been taking my place over a lot. It's over there because right here I've been getting probably 500 phone calls in a day. But this outstanding, the help we're getting. And it seems like we're getting lots of help from New York City, Army Corps. Finally got some of the officials around here not too far away where I don't think they realize how bad we were up here.
Yeah, I was talking with Celine Paquette in Champlain, and when we left, Don Garrett was up there. We, as we mentioned there, we got it a couple days before everybody else. We got it Monday and Tuesday, and then Wednesday, everybody else started to get it. We'd already had a coating, and then we got it a little bit harder than what they did down there, just a few miles away. And I was talking to some people yesterday who had gone down to Albany area to buy a generator, and they say once they got the other side of Elizabethtown, beyond there, hardly anything.
That's right. And traveling there where the truck was up in Malone getting some generators, there's lots of difference between there and you and here. And hoping, of course, don't forget up here that these boys had this fire. And
earlier in the week,
that's right, it was over, and so they're everybody's drained out. And with this rescue that's coming in and helping, it just seemed like it took longer to find Moores on the map. As a radio and television, I got last night called me from Kentucky. Wanted to know how Moores was, because you don't hear nothing about Moores or some of these small towns. It's all Plattsburgh, and what they tell me is a piece of cake in Plattsburgh, because
they're pretty much back on their feet already.
That's right. Then up in this North Country, and I hope, I'm sure there's going to be stuff worked out down the road, and I think it's going to act different and react to different things and set up. There's there's a lot to it, and you can be away, but you got to get out to know what's going on. And like I say, these volunteers.
Yeah, it's just incredible with these. And we never seem to run out of emergencies for them to handle either. We thought we'd had the granddaddy of them all with the flood, but we topped that.
And there's still people out there that calls them names and that, and they should get involved in it.
Yeah, help them join the fire department and show them how to do it right. We're going to go across the road right now. Thanks, Jack.
Okay.
We have a very reluctant fire chief, Wayne Dragoon. Wayne, you're probably under a little bit of stress in the last week. Your headache started a little bit before everybody else's because you had that big fire that destroyed Leonard and Sheila Drown's home and barn. So you've probably been going non-stop for 7 days now?
It's getting close.
Today is Monday, by the way. You probably didn't know what day of the week it was.
Always looking at the clocks, Haven't seen too much, but problems, I guess, lately.
You've got some people here. National Guard is helping out mowers now.
Yeah, we finally got some help. We couldn't do it ourselves, and now we've got a lot of help involved. All the communities helped tremendously. The firefighters have busted their butt. EMS, auxiliary.
Let's talk about the fire department and EMS right now. When we have these disasters, people suddenly realize how important you guys are. How are your numbers? Are you up to par as far as the number of people in your department that you could use? Or could you use extra? We were talking with Bob Echier earlier in this tape a couple days ago. He said he invited people to get down there and join the Rouse's Point Fire Department. How's Morris set up? Do you need, on a regular basis, extra people?
As far as for the rescue squad, the EMS, we could use help. I mean, they're short-staffed. You have to have a lot of credentials to be an EMT today, and they can use the help to help our community. As far as the firefighters, we're in good shape. We could use a few more, but on days like today, we could use 1,000.
Days like this, weeks like this, you couldn't have enough people. We're going to also talk, hopefully, to Rudy Miller, but just as we walked in the door, he was taking off, and he was out. He was not because we were here, but because he had someplace else to rush off to. In Champlain, when I talked to Joe Perot, he said it's pretty much each town is pretty much in charge of its own situation. I would have thought that since this was deemed a federal disaster area, that somebody would come in and coordinate all this, but that isn't the case, is it? You might wish that you could replace your batteries as quick as we just did, Wayne. We just had a battery that died on us, and you're probably at a point where your batteries need charging too.
Yeah, not just your personal batteries, but our pager batteries and our portable radios. We've had a lot of trouble keeping up with it because we haven't been anywhere long enough to get them charged up.
Yeah, you can't.
And with the power being out, that's making it that much harder.
Just as the battery died, I was mentioning to you that I would have thought that either the federal, state level, county level, that there would be some overall coordination, but that doesn't seem to be the case, though. Each town is pretty much on their own.
Well, when it first started, we were definitely on our own. It's basically the departments close to the border: Altona, Morris, Champlain, Rouse's Point. I know we've been a couple of days when we got started on our own. Starting to get help in here now. I mean, now we're really getting work done, but kind of took a little longer than I'd expected.
But see, I just would have thought that somebody would come in and even tell NYSEG, all right, here's your priorities, but NYSEG has decided for themselves where they're going to start running electricity, and they're going based on input from people that this is a priority, but nobody seems to take over at the county level. I would just thought that with a disaster being declared, that kind of martial law type of thing would come in and somebody would coordinate all that, but that doesn't appear to be the case.
No, I guess the big problem is they had no idea what how devastating it was up at this end. I mean, they called Plattsburgh a disaster area, but that is just minimal damage compared to what's done up here.
Yeah, as we've said a couple times in this tape already, the people in Plattsburgh looked around and said, wow, this is terrible. Nothing like this has ever happened before. And they probably thought that was as bad as it could get.
Right.
Not realizing that right here along this northern tier, right next to the Canadian border, we kind of got the same weather that they had up north of us. And
Definitely.
Canada got hit a lot worse than the U.S. did. And we were at the tail end of that. We were right on that fine line. If you looked at the weather maps, you could see where we were right on that borderline between that really bad weather and semi-bad weather, And it's just the northern tier towns that seem to really have gotten the brunt.
Definitely. I mean, when you're talking to disasters, when you're trying to rescue people, and it's a couple days before you get to them, trying to cut yourself a path to get the trees out of the road. And that's all over. That's not just one little section. That's what I call a disaster, when you lose a total maple syrup crop. All the trees. We're not going to see any of this in our lifetime.
No.
I mean,
No.
even falls right down even to the animals. I mean, we're all pretty much in shock. We're all very tired, but they said when we seen the 100-year flood, that was, oh my God, the worst, but that's nothing compared to what we got involved right here right now.
Yeah, as I mentioned to your father, we were talking with, or maybe I mentioned it to Jeff Menard, but we were talking with Joe Perot a while back before we came here, and I mentioned the flood, and he said it was, compared to this, it was a piece of cake.
Oh,
And we thought we'd seen the worst at that point.
we thought. I mean, yes, we realized people did lose a lot of stuff, but we're rebuilding from the flood, to make it where try to keep it from flooding again, but you don't rebuild this. This is Mother Nature.
Yes, we can't build a house here and put it back up. These are 70-foot trees that have been
Right.
destroyed, and you can't. That won't happen next year. You just can't bring in a tree and.
Right, that's it exactly. I've got big maple trees in front of my house. I'll be burning them next year during the winter. I mean, it makes you. We've broken down a few times, but we gotta keep pulling together, and we're still, we're not over yet. We've still got a ways to go. As far as our biggest problem is with carbon monoxide. Nobody has power here, and they're all using.
And people are dying. People are dying from the carbon monoxide poisoning.
I don't know if this tape will be on.
No, this will be
in
on
time,
after it's all over, for a couple of
that's the
reasons.
sad part.
And one reason is there isn't anybody that has cable anyway, even if I did want to put it on.
Exactly.
But the other thing is I want to put it on after everybody is back hooked up, so everybody can see
Okay,
this.
everybody's trying to get alternate heat source. Using gas burners. That has been our biggest problem, is gas burners. They produce an awful lot of carbon monoxide. The other problem we're having is with portable generators. People are running them in their garages. They're running them in their basements. They have to be outside the building, minimum 10 feet, and get the exhaust away from the house.
You got to be vented, yes.
That's our biggest concern right now.
And I think people just aren't aware of that. They just don't realize that because the carbon monoxide is odorless.
It's odorless. You can't smell it. You don't think there's a problem, but it sneaks up on you. And we've revived a person. I mean, all our mutual aid paramedics coming in, firefighters, the corrections, DEC. It's all coming together now. I mean, I hope, and state officials, whoever's listening to this, I hope they learn from this. We should have learned when we had the flood. The flood was a disaster. That didn't get rolling in the right direction. We should have learned from that, and we didn't. So it's time we got to wake up and learn from this.
Well, I think what happened after the flood was we said, wow, that was a 100-year flood. We'll never have anything like that again, thank God. And we didn't properly prepare for something that could happen that was even worse. And I think what's happened...
Nothing you could prepare for this.
In a lot of cases out there, I'm going to get on my soapbox here a moment. A lot of people out there have looked around their yard and saw the devastation, and probably at this point thought they were the ones who were affected. But the whole darn country was affected, the whole darn area was affected, and people probably haven't been as nice to you guys as they should have, because they didn't realize that the whole area was going through this same kind of problem. They thought they were the only ones with the problem. So
definitely problems all around. I can't stress enough all the help we've had, all the volunteers, organizations.
Just standing here talking with you, the bodies roaming around, and every one of these people doing something
You're right.
constructive. And the people in the kitchen over there, and people manning phones. It just...
We've had organizations like the Methodist Church organization. They're right now in the process of getting us generators from Louisiana. They got us 6 generators earlier, and 5 more on the way, and just all these different organizations helping us to pull together to get through this. We will get through it, and we got to move on. But it's just devastating, is all you can say.
Okay, we're going to pick up on this. We're going to go to the center down the road, the catechetical center, where it's just housing the people who have been relocated. One of the favorite greetings that I get as I go around from place to place is, "Oh no." And this young lady gave me one of those "Oh no, he's here" looks. Pat Jock, we're at the, what's this called? St. Joseph's?
St. Joseph's Catechetical Center, part of St. Joseph's Church here in Morris.
And this is being used as the shelter at this moment. We're talking to someone, I've talked to so many people in the last 15, 20 minutes. Said they had up to 150 at the fire station at one point. I don't see a lot of cars outside. How's your attendance at the moment?
Okay, we're bedding down about 32 right now. We've got more possibly coming in tonight. We've got workers, probably about 5 or 6 workers that are in and out all night long. Paramedics are in and out all night long. So we're doing good. We really are. We have some people here that are on oxygen. We have some people here that just are here because they don't have any place to go. And we're feeding all 3 meals, which is being prepared at the Moores Fire Station. And anybody is welcome to come and bed down here.
Well, this will be on well after, because nobody's got cable right now anyway to watch this. So this will be on well after. But so you're pretty much taking people mainly from Moores, though? Or
Yep.
You got some tourists. I know in Champlain they told me that they had some people from Montreal coming through and they got stranded.
No, we've got some people here from Canada. We've got one gentleman that the ambulance took away last night, but he came back today, took him across the border. The ambulances met at the border, and he went to the hospital. He's a heart patient. But he came back today. He wanted to come back. He says, "I feel better. I want to come back." So, which he did. So, we've got all types of situations here, from little babies right straight up, 80-some years old.
How many could you hold in here if you had to, Pat?
About 65. That's bedding down 65. We can feed, I would say, anywhere from 75 to 100.
Looks like Phil Poland just brought in the groceries.
Yes, Bill's been doing a lot for me. He really has. He's been a big help.
We saw him running around at the fire station, and now he's up here. Maybe he's following us. Maybe he wants to get on TV. We'll have to. Is that why you're following me, Phil? You want to be on TV? Is that what you're doing?
They wouldn't give me no cheese, Pat.
They wouldn't give you no
Again?
cheese. Oh.
Well, we have problems getting some supplies, but basically Red Cross has been keeping us pretty filled up.
We were told in Champlain, at the Champlain site, that all they have to do there is go down to the store and charge it to Red Cross, and that's pretty much what you have to do here?
Well, no, pretty much they're delivering it to us.
Oh, so you don't even have to go down.
No. The National Army Guard picks it up from Red Cross, and they deliver. I had a delivery at 2 o'clock this morning, and it took us about an hour to get it all unloaded and inventoried and distributed to places where they go here. What we have different today is we've got a lot of people that have been coming in and getting what we call care packages. We make them up a package with staples, milk, bread, and all the things, sliced cheese, so they can get by.
So they
And
take
we're
it
just,
home and
yep, they take it home. They've got wood stoves probably.
Have you checked on them? Because a lot of these people that are going back home are running maybe on generators or these gas heaters.
Kerosene heaters.
And as you probably are aware, people are dying with carbon monoxide.
I had 3 people brought in at 4 o'clock this morning for carbon monoxide poisoning, and I bedded them down and got them out of here. They wanted to go home about 8 o'clock this morning. So yes, we are getting that.
Are you cautioning the people coming in, though, that...
Most definitely. Oh yes, all the time.
Okay.
All the time.
Now, I see Lucille Willette working hard over there. She wanted to be on, but we said no. She's on enough at the ball games.
These people have been great. Everybody is pulling together. We're getting donations from, like, McDonald's. McDonald's fed us for 2 days. Gave us all their food. All we had to do was cook it. They cleaned it right out. That was great. That was really great. Red Cross, like I say, has been keeping us up. In fact, they brought us a couple of buckets of Kentucky Fried Chicken one night.
Wow.
Oh, was that good. And now...
You had to sample that before you gave it to the people.
Of course. And then a lot of people are, like, baking cake, sweets,
And bringing
it down here. We give it to the people, and everybody's pulling together. It's been a struggle, We're tired, but I think we're going to be okay.
And it ain't over yet, Pat. You
No,
got
it's not. We got a long time to go yet.
yes. At this point, it's only the I think it's the 11th. It must be the 11th, 12th. I'm not sure what day it is. I lost track. I know it's a
12th.
Monday.
Today's the 12th.
It's the 12th. It started on Thursday, well, Wednesday night, Thursday, and at this point, we don't know how long this is going to be.
We've been told several times that we might have power within the next 3 to 4 days.
Well, I think some people might, but everybody
Not
isn't.
totally.
No.
Not totally at all. No.
Any? I want to get you in trouble here by missing some people. Any workers that you want to mention, or would you rather avoid mentioning some rather than avoiding than hurting other
There's
feelings?
so many that are coming and going that they have all been fantastic. Sue Miller, she spent the night with me last night, and like you said, Phil Poland. Of course, you know all the ones that were over at the firehouse. There's so many people have offered to help. We had 2 nurses here today. We've got the Red Cross is going to be bringing in family stress management, family type of situation where they're having problems and they're going to try to help them. They're going to set up here. They like the shelter here, so they're going to set up here.
Well, they heard you had that fried chicken problem.
There you go. There you go. But anybody, what we're doing is we're taking in anybody around here for meals. They don't have to stay here. They're coming in and eating and going back home. They've got wood heat, whatever. So we're not only bedding them, we're also feeding different people.
Okay, great.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Pat. And
You're
we're
welcome.
going to conclude today's portion of this, and we'll pick up on this story hopefully tomorrow, and we'll continue our trek through the northern tier. We are now in, I believe, day 11. It's Sunday. This ice storm beard has grown a little bit since the last time I was on, and we're standing in my front yard, and one of the things that's been happening across the North Country, we've seen familiar sights with the National Guard and other volunteers going door to door, and we have 2 people that are here today, probably representing the state. We'll ask each of you to tell us who you are and what your function is.
My name is Drew King. I'm from Warren County, and I'm up here helping out as a public health nurse with the Clinton County Health Department. I'm just going around to make sure everybody's healthy, that they've got the right ventilation on their heating. Nobody's coming down with the flu or any problems with their health. Elderly are staying warm enough. Kids are fine.
So is this something that Jack Andrus arranged, or is the state health department doing this, or Jack Andrus is our county health?
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm not sure I know all those.
So apparently it's not through Jack Andrus.
Well, I don't know. My health department volunteered the nurses to send us up, and there are 5 of us up from this county. They're from other counties as well, and we're going door to door just to check on people. That's what we're doing at this point.
How long have you been up?
We got up yesterday morning early, went out all day yesterday, and we'll be here till Tuesday night, and then another group is coming in then.
Have you done this type of thing before?
No, not a bit. No disaster nursing at all.
Without getting into any specifics, what kind of problems have you come across that
I personally haven't come across problems, but there are problems with people who don't have enough medicines in their house. We're just checking on those. Their blood pressure's high, and then we do follow-up visits. So we're finding people that we need to go back and see on a one-to-one visit.
Okay, and who will that report be made to?
The public health department.
County?
Yes, oh yes, the
Okay.
county health department, sure.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, uh-huh.
And your name?
I'm John Chambers. I'm a forest ranger with the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation.
And where are you from, John?
Minerva, down in Essex County.
Oh, so you're not too far away.
Not too far. And basically I'm transporting Drew around and making sure we document that every house has been checked on. We're attempting to check every house, at least in these hardest hit towns, to make sure there's no one who still needs assistance. And the forest rangers are helping to organize that process, especially the documentation end of it, to make sure we don't miss anybody.
Have you done any of this type of work before yourself?
Not specifically in this type of disaster, but as rangers we get involved in all sorts of emergencies, so it's not that unusual for us.
Well, you've probably been out in a lot of searches through the mountains, and
Absolutely.
although this might not be pleasant work, at least you're able to get in and out of your vehicle a little more
Oh
often.
yeah, it's not bad at all, and everybody we met has been upbeat pretty much, and it's heartening to see the neighbors helping each other like they are.
What happens if you find nobody at home and there's no clue as to where they might be?
We're encountering quite a few houses like that, and with most of them, by looking around, we can see someone's there, and there doesn't seem to be any signs of a problem. If we looked in the windows and saw a generator inside, or like a dog looks like he's asleep on the floor, or something that might lead us to believe there's a problem, we'd check back. But so far, everybody seems to be fine. And also, if we find a place that's has no one home, we'll check with the neighbors to see if they know if they're all right.
You have the authority to break in if you suspect there might be somebody down?
We could do that, but we'd need some pretty strong suspicions that there is someone down in there.
Okay, are you coordinating your efforts with anybody else that you know you're not duplicating what the National Guard or somebody else is doing?
We are attempting to coordinate them, yes. There's a planning meeting held every day in at the emergency center.
In King's office?
Yeah, yep. And we're using the incident command system. And like I say, the documentation is very important. We fill out this sheet for every house we go to make sure we know exactly who's been checked on and who hasn't.
Okay, how long have you been up here and how long do you intend to stay?
This is just my second day here, and I'll probably be here at least till Wednesday, which would be 5 days and maybe longer.
What kind of progress you making? How many houses can you do in a day's time?
Well, yesterday Drew and I checked on about 50, and today we hope to do 70, 75.
So you don't just stop in and say hi, bye, you ask them a few questions?
Oh, absolutely. Find out how they're doing. Yeah. No, we just want to make sure that there are no hidden problems someplace that people aren't aware of, too.
Okay, well, we appreciate you people being here. Anything else that unique that you found here that we should probably add to this tape?
No, it's just like I say, I'm impressed to see how everyone is helping everyone else out.
Well, we've people up, as you know, in the small towns have a reputation for that kind of stuff, and in many cases it's coming through here. And we haven't had a lot of. There have been a few bad apples in the in the mix, but in most cases it's been positive that we found as far as people helping people.
Good.
Thank you.
Good.
You bet.
Bye.
Run a little bit of the tape off. Don't use your fingers. Okay, we're continuing our story. It's now January 20th, the day after Martin Luther King Day, and we're in Chazy, and we're at Giroux's Poultry, and we're talking to one of the owners, this Mr. Craig Giroux. Craig, do you have any unique problems with the ice storm of '98?
Well, the biggest thing was the power being out. We were on generators for 7 or 8 days. Of course, with the birds, you know, we're set up, fortunately, where we have automated generators, because the summertime is as big a problem as the wintertime. So we had automated generators in place for feed, water, air, the basics. The biggest problem we had was with the processing plant and the feed milling. And when we processed eggs, we had to make sure we didn't have a lot of feeders and so forth, different feeders in the buildings running, so we weren't drawing on the generator that was tied in. And over to feed mill, we were fortunate to get a generator to do our feed. About 2 or 3 days after, we were able to get something through FEMA, through Ag and Markets, and because we had a hard time getting feed in here. Actually, the biggest problem we probably had was with feed. We couldn't make feed. We ran low here, ran out some, and we did have one barn that probably didn't have feed for 2 or 3 days. So it did throw one flock into what they call a molt, where they're going to go out of production for a bit. The rest of the farm wasn't, you know, terribly affected. I'm sure we've had some production losses as feeding schedules were off, and you know, so forth. Just knocks, but nothing catastrophic. So we feel fortunate in the sense that we could have lost a whole flock of birds, or you know, we could have been out of feed here. I mean, the first couple days we couldn't get trucks in here from any of these other feed mills. Our mill wasn't going. That was probably the biggest problem we had. But Agway did eventually get us some feed up here. They were a big help. We ended up having to go down out of southern Vermont, up around, you know, so we had to draw our feed. Of course, nothing could come from the north or the west, and we did get some feed in here, and then we got a generator in here, and shortly afterwards, I mean, at the end of the week, power was here, but we were on watch 24 hours a day here for 7 or 8 days. It was pretty intense in the sense that we had to, you're just trying to survive, save yourself and your farm, and we feel fortunate. It could have been a lot worse. That's probably the biggest problem we had was the feed, the power.
How often would the feed trucks come normally?
Oh, normally we make our own feed, and we've got materials coming in every day. So, everything stopped coming in. The mill wasn't down. We had our feed, most of the tanks usually have a couple days supply in them. So we were okay, but it was that second, third day where we were running out and getting things in here, getting feed in or getting feed made was the problem. But, overall, we made out okay. That's probably the biggest problem we had. We were concerned about ice buildup in buildings and roofs and this at a point if it continued, but that never really got to be a major concern. We were fortunate on that. Of course, with the snow coming behind. Getting our eggs out, we did get backed up. Fortunately, a lot of product does go south. We were able to get in a thruway, go south, and then head out that way. The biggest problem, again, was north and west. But then you had people calling that we really were desperate for eggs. We did help out with some of the shelters and fire departments and even the Red Cross, get a few eggs.
A few eggs. I was in Champlain, and there were crates and crates of eggs that Drew's Poultry had donated. So it was more than a few eggs that you gave away.
We donated some, but actually the Red Cross did on the bulk delivery. They did take billing on that. The Red Cross did, and they said they were going to reimburse us for it. And we sold them to them at wholesale, helped out. And at that point, we didn't have a lot that was ready to go or available. So we sent them what we had, and they worked with us, and it worked out. Everybody kind of pulled together, and we helped out where we could. And like up north, Canton, Potsdam, Messina way, people in the store, they were just looking for product and they couldn't get it. And we went up there, I think by the time we got back out for the first time, it was Saturday a little bit. We got up that way Sunday, all the way up through Ellenburg, all the way up through the northern tier, and just get eggs here and there. And one store would take it over to the other, all this type of thing. And people, they're just looking for the basic staples, eggs, milk, bread,
Yeah.
And so that was more the situation there. And everything south wasn't as bad. But probably the deliveries up north and the feed situation were probably the two big problems we had, I have to say.
What's the longest you've had power out here before?
Oh, maybe
12 hours?
maybe a half a day. I don't think we've ever been over six hours, not that I can recollect. And then, talking with my father, he's been around longer than I, and he said the same. It's been a while. We've never had anything of this magnitude ever, but we feel fortunate. A lot of other people, some of these dairy guys that are really up in that middle of the, we got hit hard here, but as you know, not as hard as further north, the worse it is. And, I talked to some of these guys even up in Canada that, we work with a little bit, and they got, they're still out of power up there. It's really rough up there.
Now you were just in that twilight zone, that area where it was still bad, but wasn't quite as bad, because like Northeastern had no school the whole week, Jay-Z had school, and it was just a couple degrees warmer that made a difference. And by the time we got that big storm, the northern tier up there, the very northern tier, you're still part of the northern tier, but that very northern tier already had an ice buildup, and that of course compounded the situation.
Yeah, because with some of the drivers, they were concerned, getting out of here, and they had to actually take this road and that road to get under the wires and all this. You didn't want to be pulling wires down. You wanted to get out, and is it safe to get out? And some of the routes that run south, if they could get just down below Plastering, once they got a little ways past Keysville, it was fine. That was the big thing. And we were able to keep a lot of product moving, because that was another concern. You've only got so much room here. It's like the dairy guys with the milk. You've only got so much, and what do you do with the milk, right? It was getting to be the same thing with our eggs. What do you do? And fortunately, we never got to that situation. We were able to keep product going south and get out.
Production-wise, do you have a percentage on how much production you might have lost?
Oh, it's hard to say. The one flock that I know in particular is probably going to be, we're going to lose. They may go out of production for a bit. They're going to go into they're probably going to go into a bit of a forced molt, which sometimes the industry does that when you want to give a bird a rest and lay them a little longer. But that certainly wasn't a plan. And but that's just one flock, which is not, that's not.
How long would that be apt to last?
Oh, maybe a month or so.
That long?
But maybe a couple weeks. We'll probably see a couple weeks of pretty declined production on that flock. The rest of the farm, I'm sure it's going to be affected probably 10%. It's hard to say. Maybe we'll see it here in the next coming few weeks. But I don't think anything too terribly serious or significant. It'll probably be okay.
Okay. Anything else, Craig?
No, it's probably. I think we've touched on the major areas. That's probably a major problem we had.
Thanks.
Okay.
We have moved down the road a little bit, and hopefully our lens is unsteamed. We're just at Drew's Poultry, and by the time I got done talking with Craig, the humidity had
I bet it was heavy in there.
fogged up the lens.
Yeah.
We've now got another gentleman who's no stranger to Hometown Cable, Mr. Don Green. Don, I would guess that Shazy Orchards probably had some unique problems as far as the northern tier goes with this ice storm.
Well, Calvin, I guess we were luckier than most. I guess the thing that irritates me the most is that unless you got cows up here, you aren't a farmer. So nobody worries about the orchardist. You got to take care of yourself. And this time we could have used a generator, but none came. As far as the apple trees went, they weren't harmed by it. They're well pruned. They're pruned to take a load of apples, and only the older trees, the ones my age, you know, their limbs are a little brittle, and the kind of limbs that did come down would have come down in the next 2 years anyway. Our biggest problem, Calvin, was the levels of carbon dioxide in our controlled atmosphere room. A third of our apple crop is packed. We had 2/3 of it were at risk. At risk, I mean, it's not just a partial loss, it's all the apples in those rooms. And we went day in, day out, waiting for something, and thought the power would come back on like everybody did. And we needed a good-sized generator. We could run our heat, we could run those things and take care of that. All our power lines were down. We rigged up a generator, and we pumped gas for anybody that needed 5-gallon cans of gas. Actually, my son Jeff and Jim Laramie were key people in keeping our place going, in that they are the engineers and the mechanics, and that's what you need when there's a storm like this. And their creativeness really kept things going and saved us a lot, and a lot of people in town, I'm sure. We went out, our people went out and supplied gas, hooked up our generator, helped several out, and Jeff at 8:30 and 3:30 every day, 8:30 in the morning, 3:30 in the afternoon, those that wanted gas appeared at our service station. We were fortunate the second day, I guess Friday, maybe Saturday, Friday or Saturday, when it we're getting down on gas, and I'll be darned if Agway didn't come up and top us off. Don't know how they got up here, didn't ask, but we had Shazy and Westport Telephone here for several days, filling their vehicles, their generators, and everything. And just worked hard to keep as many people as going as we could, because we couldn't do anything about our controlled atmosphere rooms. The gas and electric probably came back on quick as anything else. We did get a generator about 12 hours. National Guard came in here with one about 12 hours before the power came on, so we were able to hook up. I'll be darned, we had it 12 hours, and didn't the people in charge come in and say, we're going to have to take your generator, we got to share it with a dairy farmer. And that's when I got a little irritated, you know. But I guess they had to do what they had to do. I give a lot of credit to the private sector here, and that's New York State Electric and Gas and the myriad of technicians they brought in. We saw Con Ed working in our area, and they're just fantastic. I mean, they knew what to do, and they went at it, and they were quick. They strung lines faster than anybody I'd ever seen, and I know there's other companies around. Everybody was in trouble, and a lot of times they lost their patience. I probably did once in a while myself.
Yeah, I know even some homeowners on part of this tape were in Moores, and I'd heard the complaints there, and I'd heard them in Rouse's Point earlier, and I'm sure the same thing happened here, where people would show up to help people, and they'd catch heck, you know, why weren't you here before? And these were, many cases, volunteers, and that's a little tough, I imagine, for them to take.
Well, you know, my observation was that we've all got used to our conveniences, and that's what we missed. And I heard the same darn things, Calvin, and I was irritated too when I heard people say, well, I called the fire department twice and they haven't come and pumped my basement. Well, the fire department, in my opinion, is for emergency work, professional work involving the equipment they have. I don't think they're made to pump basements and fill sandbags. I would be darn upset if Shazy Orchard's caught on fire and they're over there pumping out somebody's basement.
But these volunteers were just amazing. Every community, it's the same thing. And plus, these people had their own homes to take care of, just like we all did.
Oh, yes.
And they're out there doing this on their own. It's just amazing.
Our people were out primarily. The reason they weren't pumping basements is they were going door to door as much as they could to check on people's health and welfare.
How much of a crew do you keep this time of the year?
Here at Shazy Orchards, we've got about 14 or 15 men pruning and about 20 in our packing house. They were all out of work for about a week, but God bless them. They had problems at home too, but when we did get up and running, which was last Thursday, we worked Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with the crew that came in to fill orders and to help us catch up with the orders and get ahead. Our people were great. A lot of them were relieved to come into work. They were getting tent fever at home,
Yes. Now, getting back to this, your cold storage, were you able to keep your apples cold? I know there's a couple factors in there. You've got to get rid of the oxygen to put them to sleep. And so tell us that process a little bit. I know we've covered this before, but...
Yeah. Well, really, Calvin, the temperatures pretty well took care of themselves. These rooms are all insulated, keep the cold in, and they do pretty well. We had about a 2 or 3 degree temperature rise. That means from 32 to 34, 35 degrees. So they kept fine. It was mainly the buildup of carbon dioxide in those controlled atmosphere rooms. We were about ready to pull our doors and lose our atmosphere or lose what puts the apples to sleep. The carbon dioxide is our biggest fear. The air you're breathing is 21% oxygen. We can raise that pretty quick by just opening a porthole in the room. It's much more difficult to get rid of the carbon dioxide that builds up. That has to go through special carbon scrubbers and takes pretty good sized motors. And we did get a 12-hour jump when the guard people brought in the generator and hooked us up.
So at this point, do you think you've saved it?
We think so. The CO2 should be around 5%. It got up to around 7 or 8. I've never heard of any damage at that level, but we're taking samples from the front of the room. We hope that it wasn't different in the back of the room. But we got running as quick as we could, and we won't know until we really open them and pull them out, So it's a guess.
Keeping your fingers crossed.
Got our fingers crossed and our toes too.
And I've heard you had some company during the storm, like a lot of us. You had visitors.
Yeah, we took in refugees. The McQuinneys were over with us, and 3 of my grandsons, 2 grandsons and a friend got trapped there, and then the parents came around, and Tom Trombley came one miserable night and said, geez, we're out of power and everything. Can Adam stay here? And I said, why not? He's been here now a while now. So we had the 3 boys. They were a big help to me. I had a generator at home, and they helped me with it. It's heavy. They put the gas. It took a lot of cycling. You'd start the water pump, but you'd have to turn off the furnace, that type of deal, and had a good routine going. They could play their TV and their Sony PlayStation, but they got tent fever too. They would when it got icy and it froze. Those cold moonlit nights, they were out on the back hill in the back of the house till 11 o'clock at night, just getting rid of their energy. I was glad to have them, really.
Yeah.
They were a lot of help.
Well, it gives you a little company, too, and misery likes company, right?
Yeah. Well, we weren't too miserable. We were very happy. I had a 20-year-old generator. We just service it every year. I did have a double throw switch and those things, so we had a routine, but hadn't ever used it. And My grandson and I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning when the power was off because the sump pump came on every 15 minutes. And first pull she started, and she ran for 6 days, 24 hours a day.
Wow.
Noisy, but she put it out.
Okay, anything else, Don?
I guess I have nothing else. Appreciate you stopping by
Appreciate you chatting with us.
and see that you're getting around and up and at it again. And cable came on. We missed cable. You know, probably as much as we missed anything else. Everybody jumped for joy when cable came on. So it'd be good to be seeing you there again, too.
Well, it'll be a while before we're back to full production because there's not much sense at this point on this January 20th to put on a lot of shows that 90% of the viewers can't see because you're one of the few that do have cable in the system.
Well, save the programs. You've got a lot of material out there you must have caught.
Yeah.
I assume you got out when the real ice storm pictures were around. Did you get some
I got
fill-in
some.
video?
I got some, but as we did with the flood coverage, I'm counting on the public to come through. We had 32 people during the flood to come through with tapes.
Okay.
I'm expecting maybe 50 people out there will help us with footage on this.
I logged on to the internet last night to the NOAA weather station out of Burlington, and they had somebody that took pictures, a couple of their people up in Moores. They must have lived there. They've got some excellent stuff that's on the internet. I don't know,
really?
maybe they could, of the Moores area, you know, right at the height of the storm.
Well, if you can get their name, I'll make sure it's part of our tape.
I can give you the internet address. I don't know. That's what I can do.
Okay, very good.
We'll do it.
All right, thanks, Don. Another day, my ice storm beard is another day older. I think it's about 2 weeks old today.
Well, you look handsome anyway, Calvin.
And we're at St. Mary's Church. I stopped into St. Mary's Academy. Thought I'd talk to Sister Cordata here about the first day back for the students. And I arrived in the parking lot to a big surprise. Tell us what this is all about, Sister.
Well, we received a call this morning right after announcements about a bomb scare. And I thought this is what we need. We have many children still without power. And we have the children just need to get back into a routine after this. This is 4 weeks today that they began vacation. And they needed to get back, and it's a very difficult thing, but they feel that this is a serious bomb scare, and they are going to send a dog to dogs to check out the school. So here we are with the children over in church. And
now, normally the children don't behave like this in church, but they've got 4 weeks of energy plus the trying to relieve the tension of a bomb scare. And
that's right, and they haven't been in the routine at all. So there's no, I think the Blessed Sacrament is out of the church anyway, but maybe if the Lord were here, he'd only be smiling on them anyway, I'm sure.
If God doesn't understand children, then we're all in trouble.
No, I don't think there's any problem at all. They're beautiful children. They're happy to be back. Of course, the older kids still question whether it's time to be back or not. The older kids have some work to do, but it doesn't look like they're at heart attack level with this either.
What's the matter with those kids?
I don't know what's the matter with them, but they're beautiful. We'll get them back to sometime today. I told them that we would have lunch when we had lunch. They would get it, but whenever we can.
So the plan at this point, as I understand it, because first of all, the story is that this bomb threat isn't just your routine bomb threat. It's possibly the Hells Angels who called it in, which is which is part of the big biker gang in Montreal, and which is already allegedly, I'm going to use the word allegedly, had a bomb in our area at the Beaumont a few years back. A local man died. So this is being taken very seriously. But in this case here, dogs will come in and the students will go back to school. Is that the idea?
This is the first time we've been ordered out by the state police. Usually, you know, we just go and we figure it's a prank or something like that. But we were ordered out by the state police. Yeah.
Okay, let's get back now to my original reason for coming here, and that was to find out what the routine would be on this first day back at school. So let's just forget about the bomb for a moment and tell us what your plans were for today.
Well, what we were going to do is to try to process some of what the children have been through. Very often, the children kind of are silent, and they get noisy and itchy and squirrely at home, but deep down, they suffer from this too. So what we had planned to do was something that I got from mental health when we had the flood. And it's just as a sitting of the children around in a circle or something along that line, and just have them talk about what happened and how they felt and what they saw, so that it doesn't stay hidden within them, but it comes out, and they're reminded not to have, well, my story tops yours type thing, but just to say, and then to somehow bring the children around to realize this is not a punishment of God. This is not the coming of the millennium. This is an ice storm. That's what it's called, an ice storm. And I guess I can tell you this. When I was in theology studying, the theology teacher said to me, "Sister, you're in a snowstorm, you're stuck in a snowbank, there's nobody around, you can't get out, you're sitting on a snowbank crying, what does God do?" And I said, "Nothing, absolutely nothing." And he said, "No, sister, he sits and cries with you." And I think that we have to bring the children to see that God has been here with us, crying and struggling and walking with us step by step. And that God doesn't always change things, but God never leaves us. So we will bring them around to see that and to be very, very thankful for the things that we have taken for granted and for the people that have helped us, and for being able to take a hot shower and to have heat and to have warm food. And maybe we all need to stop and say thank you many times during the day of things that we never thought of before. But God walks with us. That's all.
That's the old story of the footprints in the sand, right?
All right, you got it. You got it.
Now, did you have time to take attendance before you came? How was your attendance about normal for today?
I think they took attendance, but I never got to the office, so I don't know. We have normally 185 children, so I don't know, or 183 to 185, so I don't know how many are here. We got a few calls that they weren't coming in, but
I couldn't have called. I don't have a phone yet.
Do you think we ought to take time to count them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Count the feet and divide by 2.
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
Anything else, sister? I was just talking with Father Gordon as we were coming down here, and he told me that the bishop is arriving today. He was scheduled to come here anyway. He's not sure if the bishop will want to be on tape, because he said the bishop didn't want any publicity. He just wanted to come and do this and not beat any drums. So I'm not sure if later on we'll have him on this tape or not.
Yeah.
But anything else besides that you'd like to tell us? By the way, I want to point out that my son Nate Castine who's running that camera, was a 1990 graduate of your school.
Oh my goodness, well,
Before your day.
congratulations, Nate, before my day. I'm telling you, there's not much that happened before my day, but anyhow, just if, I don't know when you're going to run this, but to tell the people that we have been praying for them, and that we'll continue, and if we can do anything to help them, we'll be happy to do that.
Okay, thank you. Been chatting with Sister Mary Kodada, the principal at St. Mary's Academy in Champlain. I'm not sure what's going to be coming up next. If Bishop Laverty will grant us an interview, we'll talk with him. If not, we'll pick up on this somewhere in Chazy.
Because of the bomb scare. Does anybody know who's standing with me up here? We've got hands going. Look at that. Wow. Aaron, who is this? The bishop. Yes, this is Bishop Laverty, everybody. And Bishop Laverty called us the other day and wanted to come here to Champlain to see how we were all doing. So I'm not going to talk at all. I'm just going to introduce Bishop Laverty. Bishop, thank you for your concern and care, and we welcome you to St. Mary's. I'm sorry it's like this, but here you go.
Well, thank you, Father. Hello, everyone. Yes, as Father said, and some of you already know, I'm the bishop of the diocese. I live over on the other side of our state. And I wanted to come over and just be with you, because this has not been an easy time, has it? No, I know that. I bet some of you still don't have any heat at home, huh? How many still don't have heat? Put up your hands. The ones who still do not have any heat. Yeah, some of you still don't. And all of you didn't, right? How cold it was. Some of you had to go to shelters. No? Some did. Yeah. Well, I wanted to come over